I'm going to talk a little about Paul and the rest. Paul actually was a debater 25 years ago for our 75th anniversary. He debated Dave Kennedy in the audience. And it was an extraordinary debate. Dave was a senior, Paul was a junior, and people raved and said, you know, I hope you invite them back for the 100th anniversary. Paul was on our short list, so to speak, just for both the Academy Award and also for debate, but he lives all the way in California, and we thought it would be too much to ask him to fly all the way in. The good news is he was coming to this event and visiting his dad at the same time. He's an extemporaneous speaker, and that will be proven tonight. He was, when he was a student here at Regis, one of the best extemporaneous speakers in the United States. I remember a particular round of the semifinals of the national championship. It was a question about Soviet Union, who had been broken up, and whether the Soviet Union was going to go back into the Baltic states, and his witty ending line, we should be wary of Estonians, we should be wary of people who throw Estonians at glasnost houses. Pretty witty guy. So, he's from Brooklyn originally, okay? His parents, he comes from Fine Fettle. For those of you who have been judges, his parents spent their 25th anniversary at a Hearn tournament, okay? Sidney Marie Held came to virtually every tournament during the course of his 4 years. He went to Williams College, he made a ton of money on Wall Street, or whatever the Boston equivalent of a ton of money is on Wall Street. What did he do with it? He gave it away, okay? And like all people, he looked for a second career. He got a PhD in politics from the University of California. He taught there for 8 years. He headed up a think tank, and let me get this title right, it's called the Center for Rethinking Capitalism. Okay, he seems eminently suited for that, being a former banker and investment guy, and that worked out until the Marxists took over, okay? That's what he said. He's now an advisor to the Glenn Family Foundation, and he's here tonight to represent the affirmative team. So I thank you, Paul, for jumping in and last night. He was both a great debater and extemporaneous speaker for Regis High School. In the old days, you could actually do both categories, all right? That's something that is actually structurally impossible now because they don't allow that at tournaments. In his senior year, he won both the NCFL National Championship and the Tournament of Champions in Lincoln Douglas debate, and was third in the nation in extemporaneous speaking. He also won the National Parliamentary Championship at Harvard and the World Championship as well. But most importantly, he was a member of the Harvard Lampoon, Harvard's comedy magazine. Like fellow Hearn member and Lampoon alum Colin Jost of Saturday Night Live, he's a genuinely funny guy. But he can be serious as well. For the last 14 years, he has been the U.S. Attorney in the Southern District of New York in charge of the Civil Rights Division. He's the proud dad of a Regian, Dylan, his son, who's a sophomore extempore at Regis and sitting in the front row. The negative team, also illustrious. Waiting a long time, wondering how to respond to this curveball sent to them. We have Michael Clark, who was the youngest debater here tonight, a mere college kid. After a career as one of the best extempors in the country, he went to Yale, where as the president of the debate team there, he was the top speaker at the North American Championships and finished as a semi-finalist at the World Championship earlier this year. He is the proud older brother of 2 Regians. Jack, who will be coming back from school tomorrow, our former student congress czar, and Charlie, who is a sophomore who's sitting here, has qualified for both national tournaments. David Denton. I knew Dave was going to be a special debater. When he came with his mom and dad to meet me during the sort of pre-visit, when he was thinking of applying to Regis, he's the only kid who had questions written out on a 3x5 card. I think he still has them. When he was a freshman, he won the state championship by winning every ballot in every round. I knew he would be very good. After an illustrious 4-year career in Lincoln Douglas debate with too many championships to mention, he went on to Yale, where he was a national champion there in parliamentary debate and a finalist at the World Championship. He parlayed these achievements into a very successful stint at Harvard Law School, where he was named Best Oralist in the final round of the 100th Ames Moot Court competition by Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts. Liking the idea of hanging out with Supreme Court justices, he clerked for Justice Anthony Kennedy. As much as he learned from these justices, he has learned a lot more from his mom, Rina Raji, who, in addition to being a federal judge herself, has set the highest standard of service as a Hearn judge, and she sits here today. Thank you, Rita, for joining us. So those are the debaters. Pretty powerful group and winning. We have judges also, and I want to introduce those judges now to you. We'd ask you to stand up when they introduce you. The first judge, starting alphabetically, with the exception of our head judge. So our first judge was the 1985 national champion in Lincoln Douglas debate for Regis, and the 1989 national champion in parliamentary debate for Harvard. A Stanford law grad, he has joined us from Boston tonight, where he's a partner in litigation at Seyfarth Shaw. Patrick Bannon. Our next judge. This school year marks this judge's 9th season as director of the Bronx Science Speech and Debate Team, which is currently ranked as the top national speech and debate association chapter in the United States. His is the largest team in the country and is affectionately known as the Bronx Army. How extensive is the reach of this team? Right now, there are 40 Bronx science debaters on the border between Russia and Ukraine. Keeping the peace there. Thank you, John, for that. In 2013, he was named National Coach of the Year by the association, one of the youngest ever. He was 14 years of age. Before taking over for the legendary Richard Sadako at Bronx Science, he was a competitor in Lincoln Douglas debate, extemporaneous speaking, student congress, and duo interpret for Great Neck South High School. And outside of the world of speech and debate, he teaches AP US government and politics. And he told me he's unashamed to have accumulated a tremendous collection of Americana and Star Wars memorabilia. Okay? Our next judge is a lover of all things literary and literate. Teacher of AP Languages and AP Lit forever. She has coached all speech and debate events at Syosset High School forever. She has been the Long Island Region Director of the NYSFL forever. She has been the chair of the NFL Topic Committee for Lincoln Douglas Debate. She is a member of the National Forensic League Hall of Fame. And she spent decades working with Noel and myself for the Soros Foundation, teaching debate all around the world. Some of her notable students, and I think this is the ultimate testimony, these are former debaters or speakers for her. Former Secretary of Labor, Elaine Chao. Head speechwriter for Hillary Clinton and then for President Obama, John Lovett. Current owner of the Florida Panthers, Doug Chifu. Current counsel for the Boston Red Sox. And former College World Debate Champion partner of Dave Kennedy, Dave Friedman. Oscar winner, Natalie Portman. Tony Award winner and famously Frozen singer, Adele Dazeem. Also known as Indina Menzel. I should point out she did not coach John Travolta. By the way, I hope to be as proud of Nick Renee someday as she is of coaching both Natalie and Lydia Eslinger from Syosset High School. Lydia has worked with all 4 of these guys as coached and judged them many, many times over the years. Our next judge is a former policy debater from Bronx High School of Science. She graduated from Trinity College and earned a PhD in American history from Brown. She's written on American Catholic identity during the early 20th century and has a special interest in laywomen and the professionalization of Catholic social work. She currently teaches AP United States history and coaches public forum debate at Nightingale Bamford, a team which in a very few years has become a formidable force on the circuit, and that's my dear friend Ellie Hartman. Our next judge earns the distinction of having come the farthest for tonight's event, all the way from Seattle, Washington. In 1964, 50 years ago, he joined his partner Bob Walter in becoming the first Regis team to win the National Forensic League Championship in policy debate. 50 years ago. He graduated from Georgetown College in 1968 and from Yale Law School in 1971. For 2 years he worked for the U.S. Conference of Mayors in D.C. He then moved to Washington, where he's been a prosecutor for 6 years and a civil trial lawyer, and now assisting counsel for his firm, as well as a partner in the firm's electronic discovery group. He and his wife have 2 children, both of whom are second-year law students. And that is Tom Kelly. Thank you, Tom. Our next judge, Began his forensics career in 1980 as a student at Chaminade High School in Mineola, Long Island. He participated in extemporaneous speaking and debate. After graduating, he entered the Marianist community at Chaminade and began teaching in 1988. He also began his work coaching speech and debate that year and has been coaching since then. Currently, he teaches Latin, German, religion when he's not coaching. In forensics, he is currently the Secretary-Treasurer of the Long Island Forensic Association, President of the Catholic Forensic League of Rockville Center, Chairman of the New York City National Forensic League, and the State Coordinator of the New York Forensic League, and that is Brother John McGrory. Next judge was second in the nation in extemporaneous speaking for Regis in 1987 and the 1991 National Parliamentary Debate Champion for Princeton. Like his maternal grandfather, mother, and father, he attended Fordham Law School. He began his legal career as a judge advocate officer in the United States Army, and for the last 15 years, he's been a litigation partner at the Oliver Manor Law Firm in Savannah, Georgia. We welcome Christopher Wray. Our next judge has coached the very successful Hunter College High School debate team since 1989. For 16 years, also, principally as the Executive Director of Youth Initiatives at the George Soros Open Society, he supported the spread of debate throughout the world. He also helped establish the International Debate Educational Association with members in over 50 countries. He is currently the Director of the Annual Fund here at Regis, but most importantly, he is my first debater going back to 1984 as Mr. Noel Solesi. I have known our next judge since he was a brilliant speaker and debater for LaSalle College High School in Philadelphia from 1984 to 1988. He graduated as one of the best Lincoln Douglas debaters and extempors in the country, vying for top honors with our very own David Kennedy and Ms. Hee-Sung Han, who was then a great debater for Bronx Science. Unlike most debaters and extempors, he is not a lawyer. Rather, he is a Benedictine monk and a priest of the St. Mary's Abbey in Morristown, New Jersey. He is also the director and head public forum debate coach of the Lombardi School. He's coached national champions in that category, where he also teaches history. Had he lived in the New York area, I am fully convinced he would have attended Regis and become a Jesuit. And that is Father Michael Tidd. Our next judge, coach, has been teaching physics. This is amazing to me. At Scarsdale High School for the past 16 years and has served as director of forensics for the last 14. He is proud to have coached both state and national champions in a variety of categories. Just 2 weeks ago, his team closed out the New York State Championship in Lincoln Douglas debate. He serves on the NYCFL board, the NYSDCA board, the TOC Advisory Committee, the NSDALD Wording Committee, and is the co-director of the NYSFL tournament. He collects acronyms as easily as he does championships. And he would also like to thank Grandma Julia for keeping him well fed for these last 14 years. Joe Vaughn from Scarsdale. And our head judge, who's sitting right in front of us, who will announce the winners at the end of the debate. As a Regis Junior, our head judge was the 1962 NCFL champion in policy debate. He went on to have an extraordinary debating career at Georgetown, where he won countless national invitations and was a two-time NDT semifinalist. I might point out that one of his partners at Georgetown was the Democratic bigwig Bob Shrum, who managed to debate and graduate summa cum laude from Georgetown. After graduating from Harvard Law School, he clerked for the Supreme Court Justice Potter Stewart, was an assistant special prosecutor for the Watergate Special Prosecution Force of the Department of Justice, became a partner at Dubois Plimpton, and for the last 20 years he has served as the United States District Judge for the Southern District of New York, the Honorable John Cotto. With that, I'd like to introduce the first speaker for the affirmative, all the way from California, Mr. Paul Held.